Foreign affairs analyst Harley Lippman. Welcome to the program. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about this deal. I mean, are we going to see some sort of a deal being made one way or the other anytime soon?
Only unless President Trump ups the ante, if you will. He's got to be able to, if you break Iran, for them to give up the only card they have, which is closing the Strait of Hormuz. They see that they could hold the world hostage, and it's an opportunity for them to get revenue that they've been unable to get because of the blockade. They're not able to sell their oil. So if you deprive the regime of revenue, that will deny the government of Iran from paying their IRGC by sea soldiers. And once you do that, those soldiers are not likely to fire on their own people if they're not getting paid. And the economy is collapsing in Iran. It's hard to predict exactly when it will collapse, but the blockade is working. But what we need from President Trump is that for him to show strategic resolve. He has shown strategic courage. And even for people that criticize us going to war or how we went to war, we are where we are. And it would be a dramatically worse outcome to kind of pull up stakes or have some kind of peace deal that's not a good outcome and have to fight a bigger, more costly war in the future.
You know, the U.S. is warning shipping companies they could face sanctions if they pay tolls to Iran to pass through the Strait. Is that enough pressure on Iran? How do you see that part playing out?
It's not enough yet because they are accustomed to suffering and they think it's a test of wills. They believe that they could hold out longer than President Trump. We live in a democracy in America, so the president is subject to criticism in the media. Iran is counting on the left in America to bail them out. Iran is following the playbook of North Vietnam during that conflict, where North Vietnam kept negotiations delaying and delaying all the time, which is what Iran is hoping for now. So I think that as distasteful as it is, nobody wants more war. Nobody wants any more casualties. But it's far better to resolve this where we have freedom of navigation, which is essential for the world to operate. You know, what Iran is doing is blackmailing the world. And, you know, President Trump needs to be able to show American resolve, not only for the United States, but for the world at large, or we're going to be living in a far more dangerous place. This is really about our children and grandchildren's future now.
You know, another item that we're looking at is the fact that the U.S. is withdrawing 5,000 troops from Germany over the next year. And that's as President Trump is clashing with the German chancellor over the war in Iran. So, you know, as we take a look at how Europe plays into this, is Europe too reliant on the U.S.?
Oh, for sure. They have been. You know, NATO was designed to protect European nations so they can build up their own military forces. And you have to give President Trump credit. He got NATO nations to pony up 5% of their GDP for defense. And that's going to deter a Russian attack on another European nation more than anything else. Under Biden and Obama, the European nations were supposed to pay 2% of their GDP for defense, and they didn't even do that. So I think that they have been too reliant on the United States. The United States doesn't want to take on an unfair amount of the burden. They want the burden to be shared equally. And what he's doing strategically is forcing the European nations to recognize that their threat comes from Russia. It's in their backyard, and they have to spend more and do their fair share to protect their own countries.
Well, we're going to see how it plays out. It's really an interesting time for all of this. Foreign affairs analyst Harley Lippman. That's why we're so glad that you're here to talk it through. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also this, a cold case that has haunted investigators for decades now